Mr. Speaker, sir, at the end of every debate, it is customary to thank the honorable members who participated in the debate and gave very valuable suggestions. It's more or less the first sentence with which the person replying to the debate starts. In this, ये नहीं कह रहा हूँ, मेरी बात पूरी सुनिए. In this case, sir, I do not know how to thank. The honorable members of the opposition who have participated in something like a sterile debate, which could be perhaps considered a debate for a debate. They have every right to do so, and I don't deny that. Sir, during the last 1 year, we have discussed many issues in this house and the other house. Many clarifications have been given, many questions have been raised. And if I say that the debate which we had on the no confidence motion was just a rehash of what has been said, what has been replied to in great detail, except that this comes under a new caption. If I say that, I think I would not be far wrong. So that is the content of the debate. Sir, I would very humbly like to claim that during the last 1 year, this country has not attracted any extraordinary national or international headlines for negative happenings, for killings, for blindings, for rapes, for tensions in the society. Whatever problems we have come up against, we have promptly tried to attend to them. And therefore, the thrust of the new government has been emphasis on economic program, keeping issues of tension in a low profile, greater attention to people's problems, and further emphasis on development aspects. I have said time and again that this is not the time for this country to deviate from the path of development, to deviate from the path of national unity, integrity, and stability. That luxury we cannot afford. I am grateful to the other parties who by and large agreed with this approach, and we have had a fairly successful consensus method working during the last 1 year. Despite this no confidence motion and what will happen on it, I would certainly expect this method to continue, and the same amount of cooperation and appreciation of the real problems of the country in the future also, and that is the only way of conducting the affairs of this country. Sir, during the debate, many other ministers have intervened. Many matters have been clarified and I am afraid I will not be able to add to what they have already said on their respective subjects. I shall only refer in a general way to the direction in which the government has been moving and why it has been moving in that direction. I think I need hardly add anything to that. The last 2 or 3 years, in fact, have seen recessionary trends all over the world. This is borne out by several reports, several facts and figures, including the World Economic Survey of the United Nations. So, the economic situation which my government inherited, it came in a particularly difficult era in the history of the world economy, and particularly after the dismemberment of the former Soviet Union, the systemic changes in Eastern Europe, when investment of a massive magnitude was needed in all these countries, and India was more or less competing with all these countries. This situation needs to be noted specially because in the light of this, if we have been able to attract not only attention but a good deal of investment, it is something which cannot be scoffed at. The World Economic Survey in regard to India has said this, and I quote, "The economic reform launched by India in 1991 was a landmark in the remarkable change in policy orientation that has swept across the continents of Latin America, Africa, and Asia in recent years. The wave of liberalization reflects a genuine recognition of the need to mobilize and enable the economic talents of the people and to make the state more efficient and less oppressive. Governments had been overwhelmed by the external debt burdens and the reduction of net financial transfers in the first half of the 1980s. This is for the whole world. For India in particular, both historical and contemporary experience suggest that the state has indispensable functions in defining legal frameworks, providing infrastructure, establishing monetary and financial stability, ensuring education and health, maintaining an acceptable distribution of income and social justice, safeguarding the environment, and providing a vision of the future role of the country in the world economy." This, I submit, is precisely what the government of India has taken upon itself to do, while other functions which it was performing, spreading its limited money too wide and too thin all these years, have been given over or made over to those who can bring investment and supplement those areas. I have said so many times, sir, that in the 8th five-year plan, what we really wanted and still want is a massive augmentation of the outlays for rural development. With great difficulty, with all the goodwill in the world, the Planning Commission was able to allot 14,000 crores for rural development. Of course, there are other areas in which rural development also comes in, and the villages and the people of the villages do get benefit. But at the last meeting, the recent meeting, it so occurred to us that 14,000 crores would not suffice. It would not really meet the needs of the people as we want to. We raised it to 30,000 crores at the same time. 14 to 30,000 crores is a big jump. And I would still like to say that considering the backlog of development of the rural areas in this country, which has been accumulating plan after plan after plan, I would be happy when we would go to some figure like 50,000 crores in the 8th plan. But how will that happen? How is it possible if large investments, very large investments, like 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 crores on each project, one single project, are eaten up by the infrastructural sector, power, telecommunications, oil, all these sectors. And if budgetary support is to be given to all these sectors, which is totally inevitable, there is no question of our not having a power sector. There is no question of our not having an oil sector. There is no question of our not having all the important infrastructure sectors we know of. From the first 5-year plan onwards, these sectors have consumed the larger portion of the plan outlays. This is a well-known fact. And what has suffered? The areas that have suffered are those of human resource development. Today, if illiteracy is at a level which is unacceptable, if the health standards of the people are at a level which is unacceptable, it is because of the fact that much of the outlays have been taken up by the infrastructure sector. And if we want this 50,000 or 40,000, whatever, to come to the human resource development, to the rural sector, where all these are needed, I submit that the only way to bring this about is to make a changeover in the infrastructural investment sector, which we are trying to do with some success, about which one need not be too discouraged. We have sent a team specially to negotiate power projects. I am glad to say that they have been able to come back even after the first visit with a sizable number of power projects properly examined, negotiated. The paperwork is going on. Clearances, etc. would need some more time. But the figure which they have quoted is about 15,000 crores, which to my mind is going to release about 30 or 35,000 crores of rupees. Now, if this kind of substitution takes place, this money perhaps we could find for the rural sector, for the sector in order to help the sections of people who have been deprived so far. This is the only way of bringing the entire country up, not section-wise, but starting with the base of the pyramid. I do not know of any other way. This is what we have decided. And in order to do that, there has to be something like a bypass operation, not just asking the trickle-down, expecting the classical trickle-down theory to work. We have to pass on this money, this 30,000 or 40,000, whatever it might be, straight to the base of the pyramid, not passing through the other channels that we know of. And this is the only way we can get this done. So both aspects have been taken care of. The liberalization program that we have started is not the one which was started in many other countries. It has a speciality of its own. It takes care of the areas where liberalization would bring in dividends. It also takes care of the areas which perhaps would suffer as a result of liberalization being concentrated in one area. Our villages and the illiteracy there, or the lack of educational facilities, lack of skills on the part of the boys and girls in the villages, would leave them far, far behind when compared to their counterparts, their brothers and sisters in towns where they have better educational facilities. So, investing only in the towns or investing only in the industries would mean that those who are around the towns would get better facilities, while the rural areas would be left behind. So we have to have a massive program for the rural area, whereby the skills of the rural population, whether adult or child or boys or girls, those skills are brought up and in such a way that they don't have to migrate to the cities, and they also have a job which they can do, a gainful job which they can do. 30,000 crores, sir. What would it mean in terms of man days? It would mean a lot. 30,000 crores in terms of man days, it would mean a lot. But it's not just in man days that we are measuring. We want infrastructure in the villages also. We want all facilities to be created in the villages also. Therefore, these 30,000 crores and more, if possible, would have to be very well spent with certain amount of imagination, so as to see that the rural population really make progress, so as to minimize or at least reduce the disparity between the rural and the urban population. This is one of the very important objectives of the 8th five-year plan I would like to submit. It is possible that we will not be able to go all the way during these 5 years, because the disparity is so much. But we will be able to go part of the way, and I have no doubt that this is going to happen. We have taken steps. Some plans, like the JRY, have been severely criticized all over the country where they have not worked well. But at the same time, they have been hailed in those parts of the country where they have worked well. We have a Planning Commission report on the JRY, on the working of the Jawahar Rozgar Yojana, which has brought out some very discouraging features of the Yojana. Because it says that it can give only a few days Rozgar to people, not more, because the money was limited. And the methodology also was such that it did not really reach the people whom it should have reached. For the first time, again, the Jawahar Rozgar Yojana is being linked in the 1711 blocks taken for the revamped public distribution system. The Yojana is being linked with the public distribution system. In other words, wages in those areas of whatever work is taken will be paid at least partially in kind, in food grains. Now, this really ensures that the money goes to the persons for valid purposes and money is not eaten up by middlemen. So, this tie-up, I am sure, will improve both the Jawahar Rozgar Yojana and the public distribution system, which is now for the first time reaching the village. An effort, a determined effort is being made to see that it reaches the village, and when it reaches the village, it goes to those who do the work under the Yojana. This linkage is important and it's being attempted. I have myself been to places, some places, one place in Madhya Pradesh, one in Rajasthan, where the reports had been that it's not working satisfactorily. I went there, I talked to people. There's no use of simply criticizing what has been happening for so many years. If things have been going wrong, we have to correct them. So I have seen to it that at least at the official level, there is a determined effort to link these together. We will be monitoring, we are monitoring. Still we are not fully satisfied, but that is the only way of going on improving this linkage and serving the rural people. Sir, on investment, the situation, as I said, is encouraging on the whole. As compared to $100 million of equity investment on an average during the last 5 years, this year alone we have had a foreign equity of over $900 million. This has already been cleared by the government. It's more than 9 times, about 10 times. I think it's a good progress, putting it mildly, and it could be more in the coming years. The spread of the source countries is widely dispersed and including almost all the major capital exporting countries. My first visit to Germany convinced me that while we can get something from these countries, we have not been able to convince them that their money would be safe or their investment would be safe. There had been still some questions lurking in their minds. And as I visited country after country after country, between Germany, where my first visit took place, and Japan, where the latest visit took place, I can say with no fear of contradiction that the amount of confidence in investing in India has been growing apace, and I am quite sure that now we can safely assume that whatever investment decisions are taken in those countries, subject to their own limitations. I'm not saying that it's possible for them to invest endlessly. It's not that. I mean, their conditions are also have their own limitations. About Japan, we came to know that they had limitations. When during the visit and even before the visit, we were warned that there are limitations in the Japanese economy which would affect the capacity or the possibility of Japanese investment immediately. Now, I'm glad to say that in spite of those limitations, what we found in Japan was quite encouraging. Instead of our calling people who wanted to invest, we had the pleasant surprise of their calling on me and offering investment. So I am very much heartened by this visit, and I hope all steps will be taken as follow-up. Now, Jaswant Singh ji said something about Coca-Cola. I might inform him, overall, more than 80% of foreign investment proposals are in the identified list of high priority industries contained in the industrial policy. He seems to have picked up something from the remaining 20%, but I would respectfully submit to him that I do agree that there is a 20% list. Now, I cannot equate 80 with 100. So the 80% also is there, which contains investment promises and investment prospects, clearances to some extent, to the extent of 80%. Government has taken particular steps to encourage investment in important infrastructural areas like hydrocarbons, telecommunications and power. In power, sir, we are in the process of discussing 21 major power projects, clearing them for clearance with both Indian and foreign companies. Those were the companies, those were the projects Jaswant Singh ji perhaps referred to. I would like to submit to him that Each one of those projects is being processed with expedition. It's not like projects which could be cleared very easily or very quickly. The decisions to be taken, the technical and other details to be worked out do take on an average a year or a year and a half. And if these are taking some time, we should not either be discouraged or surprised. But I am sure, after having asked the Power Ministry, that all the projects are likely to go through and get clearance. In telecommunications, we have cleared proposals from leading telecom companies for manufacture of the latest telecom equipment. This is expected to double the production capacity of telecom switching equipment in the country. Proposals are also being considered in the area of value-added services to enhance the efficiency and quality of telecom services. Proposals for 2 oil refineries on the east and west coasts of the country have already been cleared. The entire foreign exchange costs of these refineries will be met by the private sector companies, which otherwise would have had to be met by the ONGC, in other words, by the government. Now, these are some of the savings which we are trying to effect in areas where independent investment is coming, independent of the government, and to that extent, government funds are saved and could be diverted to more important areas of human resource development, as I have just pointed out. Coming to local investments, investment within the country. Afsar.
Too cheap on your part.
Sir, in internal investment, the picture is equally encouraging, and we have got more than 6,000 investment decisions having been made this year when compared to almost half of that last year. So the situation in local investment within the country also is quite good. Now, this is the economic picture, sir. All details have been dealt with by the finance minister yesterday, I am sure. I only wanted to add this just to show that these investments are not idle investments. They are not just because we are enamored of those investments coming from abroad or other sources. We do want them badly, because we want our own money to be released for purposes which will not attract any investment from abroad. Nobody is going to run the schools in India. Nobody is going to run the primary health centers of India. Nobody is going to run the vaccination programs in India. These are the programs that have been crying for money, and we have not been able to find that money. Hopefully, with the other areas relieved from heavy investment, it will be possible. Not only possible, I think it will be certain that we will be able to attend to these areas with much more than before. Coming to the public distribution system, to which I have made a reference just now, sir. The blocks I have talked about are getting extra food grain allotments, and that is one of the reasons why the reference made to by Jaswant Singh ji to lower stocks going down. That has been responsible for that. We have made greater allotments, higher allotments to these areas, and this year's prospect, as we all know, needs to be watched. But whatever happens, we would like to stick to those higher allotments to the rural areas in these blocks, and there is no intention of reducing them. Now, sir, I come to the important areas which perhaps the occasional remarks of the members seem to indicate they are more interested in. Assam, no one can say that Assam now is not a lot better than what it was 2 years ago or a year and a half ago. The ULFA has taken certain decisions. There have been two lines of thinking within ULFA. Those who wanted to have talks with the government, a delegation from that section came and met me, and we have gone ahead with discussions. Some arms have been surrendered. There is another section which is against this. There is a sort of running dialogue between them going on, and we hope that in the near future it will be possible for us to have meaningful talks with the whole of the ULFA in order to solve that vexed question which has been there for many years. Considerable progress has been made in the implementation of the provisions of the Assam Accord. Economic development Assam, in pursuance of the provisions of the Assam Accord and otherwise, has also received continued and utmost attention. In terms of the Accord, the an oil refinery is being set up at Numaligarh, and an IIT is also being established near Guwahati. I laid the foundation stone to these institutions the other day when I visited Assam. And also a long railway line which is being converted from meter gauge to broad gauge, and which has given a lot of hope and a lot of happiness to the people around. I have had occasion to talk to the people, and I saw how happy they felt at these projects coming up. That is about Assam. About Kashmir, sir, Jaswant Singh ji has tried to point out that there have been contradictory statements or different statements from different persons, different ministers. I would like to point out that in my press conference I had summed up the whole thing by saying that we do want Kashmir to come back to normal, and I would say normal only when a democratic government is functioning there. Now this is an egg-and-chick situation. We want normalcy for elections to take place, but until elections take place, real normalcy will not come. So we have to play it very carefully. We have been successful in creating certain conditions of peace when compared to the last 1 year, and we are in a position to say that in the foreseeable future, conditions will further be created to enable elections to take place in Kashmir. One complaint that has come to me from some critics is that elections have not been fair in Kashmir. We will have fair elections. We have always had fair elections. I do not agree. I told them I do not agree with that statement. I do not agree with that statement, and we will have elections. I don't know what the commotion is about. Punjab. I am talking of Kashmir. I'll come to Punjab. There is no need for you to suppose that I'll skip Punjab. Uh, So, I do not agree that elections have been anything but fair, but I have said that elections will take place as soon as conditions conducive to elections are created. I don't think there is any contradiction what the Home Minister said, what I said, or what any other person said. The fact of the matter is, tomorrow if you want me to hold elections, it is not possible. But elections have to take place there, and we have to create conditions conducive to elections. This is the whole picture. And taken as a whole, I think this position doesn't have any internal contradictions. Sir, about Punjab, I am really very amused when people talk lightly of the elections there. Why it should be so, I don't know. Because when we went in for elections, I only wanted a state government in Punjab. I made it absolutely clear that I want a state government because I cannot talk to the governor all the time to solve the questions of Punjab. I want a state government. As Congress President, I could have asked for a Congress government. I did not. I deliberately did not. Because I thought that in the situation of Punjab, we should not perhaps talk in terms of parties. I wanted a state government. I went on the Doordarshan and said this. In spite of that, some parties chose not to participate. It was not my fault. But in any case, if they had participated, I would have been happier. The percentage of voting would have been much higher. And whichever government had come as a result of that, we would have dealt with that government, that state government, equally effectively. And that would have been a better situation. But if elections have taken place and a party government has come there, we have to deal with that party government, that government. And I can say that the government of Punjab is more zealous about the rights of Punjab, what is to be done in Punjab. They are not really acting like just Congress. It is not like that. Ben Singh ji comes to me with certain suggestions which are very difficult in themselves. Still, we are examining them. We cannot reject them because when it comes from a state government, one has to go into the history, into the background, into the feasibility, etc. of all these proposals. I assure the House that this is being done. Now, I am not talking of a package because my package is the Rajiv Longowal Accord. Now, whatever is being discussed, it is within that accord. And therefore, I don't have to have a separate package. The package is already there. This I have made clear many times. Therefore, this is what I am saying. It is not easy to implement any one portion of the accord. The accord has to come as in totality, and that is what we are grappling with at the moment. Now, it is not possible for me to give details right now, sir. I may be excused, because once I say something, then it will become a point of debate, public debate if you wish, and then it becomes impossible to take the next step. I can only assure the House that we are assiduously following discussions, continuing discussions and examination of all the questions involved, and I am quite sure that with so much of effort going into it, the results should be satisfactory, and that is my hope, that is my confidence. The floodlighting and fencing on the Punjab sector of Indo-Pakistan border to check the movement of terrorists and smugglers has been completed. during the, this is one important matter that has been coming up in the House. We have now perhaps to go to the other sector of the border, and I'm not quite aware of what is being done on that, but I am sure that from the Punjab we will go on to the other border unless the whole border is floodlit. It will not be possible to effectively stop incursions from across the border. This is the present situation in Punjab, sir. On external affairs, I really do not know if there has been anything very seriously said, but I would like to take the House into confidence that there has been no U-turn in our foreign policy. In fact, we have stuck to our policy as very few countries have. Those who were having systems, different systems working for decades and decades, what is the turn they have taken? How many degrees is the angle of turn they have taken? And what have we done? Please make a comparison, because the change is not a change in one country, it's a change in the whole world. What is the degree of change? I cannot see any change in my policy. I am still a non-aligned country. As non-aligned as I ever was. I continue to be non-aligned whether there are 2 blocks or 3 blocks or only 1 block. Because I equate non-alignment with my right to take a decision according to my rights, according to my lights, and stick to that decision. I am doing that. I have not swerved from that till this moment. Whosoever wanted me to change certain policy decisions, etc., I have politely told them that this is not possible. First, there's a little more pressure. You withstand the pressure and then say, yes, yes, we understand your position. This is how it has ended now. I am happy about this. We change when we want to change. We do not change at the behest of others. This is the policy, and this continues to be the policy, and we are non-aligned. In fact, it is the non-aligned movement that has to find a new and relevant role for itself. The exercise was started at Belgrade. Unfortunately, because of the conditions within Yugoslavia, the non-aligned movement and the activities of the movement could not go very much further during the last 3 years. I had a talk with the President of Indonesia, the chairman to be. We met in Rio. We had a fairly long discussion on what is to be done. Their foreign minister came here, who is preparing the new document. We are taking a full hand in preparing the document. We are assisting them, as we always do, the chairman, and I am sure that we will be able to delineate the new role of the non-aligned movement pursuant to what had been done in Belgrade. And I think we will be able to give the finishing touches to it, because between Belgrade and Jakarta, so much has happened in the whole world. After the dissolution, after the dismemberment of the former Soviet Union, we have had diplomatic relations established at the earliest. We have not lost any time in doing it. Because if we were dealing with one country, Soviet Union, it was not really one Soviet Union in one area. We were dealing with a country which in its economic and other relations with us was spread over 15 states. Something which we wanted came from Ukraine. Something we were dealing with came from Kazakhstan. Something which we wanted came from some other state. But we were dealing only with the Soviet Union. Today we have to deal with all these areas from where we still have to get those things. And I might assure the House that within the shortest possible time, with the least possible delay, we have been able to establish contacts, not only diplomatic contacts, but contacts of a bilateral nature which were ongoing when the dissolution took place. It has taken some time. On the other hand, on the other side also, they need some time to acclimatize themselves, to acquaint themselves with the new situation. Therefore, we have been in a much better position than we would have been if we had not taken immediate steps. Now the presidents of all these 4 or 5 of these republics have visited India. They have told me, by the way, each one of them told me that his country, his government stands by secularism. His country, his government is against fundamentalism. Now the kind of struggle that they are having to wage in those countries in the new circumstances is well known to all of us. So they have something to compare notes with India. And this is the most important part of it. They have said that with India they would like to continuously discuss these matters because a new situation has developed there, whereas they want to be totally secular as they have always been. They are finding it a little less easy to do so in the changed circumstances. So there is much that is common between them and us, and we are pursuing our talks with them. We will continue to have some institutionalized structure whereby these exchange of views and experiences becomes easy. Now, sir, about joint naval exercises, I think this has appeared so many times. We have not had so many exercises as debates on exercises, actually. I think we find it useful to have exercises. We have had exercises with many other countries, and I don't think there is anything to explain why we had exercises with the United States. If our navies find it useful, I think it's good to do it. There are, of course, members who would not agree, and there is hardly anything I can do to make them agree, so we could leave it at that. Sir, about our neighbors, I do feel that relations with our neighbors have improved. We have problems even with Pakistan. Jaswantji wanted to know, after having met so many times the Prime Minister of Pakistan, what is the outcome? Sir, it's very difficult to measure the outcome. We are neighbors and we will continue to be neighbors. There will be ups and downs. There will be some misfeasance, malfeasance. From across the border, what is being done, we all know. Whenever we meet, we start with that topic, impressing on them that they should stop this activity. Well, sometimes we are told that they have already stopped it. Sometimes we are told that they have never started it. Sometimes we are told that we will stop it. All kinds of different signals come. But in any case, we have to continue to have dialogue with them. We can postpone, we can protest, we can signify our disapproval of some acts done by them. All this is valid, all this is allowed, all this should be done. But today it is not we, but many other countries who have come to the same conclusion that state-sponsored terrorism by Pakistan is a fact. We आप जैसे श्रोता मुझे कहाँ मिलेंगे? इनको तो मैं कभी भी सुना सकता हूँ. Sir, today at least it will not be possible for Pakistan, for the Prime Minister of Pakistan to say that they are... कहाँ जाएगी? आप ही लोग इस सरकार को खड़ा करेंगे, मुझे मालूम है, खड़ा रखेंगे. So sir, whenever we meet, we have to compare notes, and we also have to understand. I think at his very first meeting with the Prime Minister of Pakistan, I think Chandrasekhar ji would have come to understand that every Prime Minister has his own limitations within his own. We don't make a speech about these limitations, we understand. And once we understand these limitations, we also understand the limitations on the effectiveness of the dialogue or the conclusive nature of the dialogue that we have with them. So with all these things in view, since I am going to meet him again, the number of times I have already met +1, I would not like to say anything, but this effort will have to continue. The secretary level talks which we had suspended will be resumed after the dates are fixed by diplomatic circles, diplomatic channels, and we will continue this. Ultimately, sir, I have a feeling that we will have to treat Pakistan with the amount of friendship, tolerance, and firmness, a combination which is not always easy to prepare, to think of, but a combination nevertheless which is perpetually going to be necessary, and that's what I would like to submit to the House. क्या कहना है इजराइल के बारे में? हो गया है. Yes, sir. I think I have already, this has been, अच्छा, इजराइल के बारे में the Israel diplomatic relations have been established with Israel, and as a result of which we are very much into the Middle East process now. This I could say without any fear of contradiction, that is, as a result of this, the Middle East process has a very good Indian component of participation today. It remains to be seen how the process goes on. But whatever happens in that process, India is going to play a role which is useful, and perhaps we will contribute to the process really achieving results more than many other countries, if I may say so. So this is about Israel. About other relations, bilateral relations with Israel, I'm not sure that much has been done, but that's a matter of time, and we will take up those issues as we go along. Now, sir, the subject matter which is really rousing passions for the last 2, 3 days, 4 days, I would like to very briefly submit to the House. You may recall, sir, that in the NIC meeting held on 2nd November 1991, the Chief Minister of UP had given the following assurances. 1. All efforts will be made to find an amicable resolution of the issue. 2. Pending a final solution, the government of Uttar Pradesh will hold itself fully responsible for the protection of the Ram Janmabhoomi Babri Masjid structure. Number 3, orders of the court in regard to the land acquisition proceedings will be fully implemented. And number 4, judgment of the Allahabad High Court in the cases pending before it will not be violated. Now, these were the 4 assurances given all members of the NIC. The whole world knows about it, sir. This was on the 2nd of November. Evidently, the effort should have started at number 1, that is, all efforts will be made to find an amicable resolution of the issue. Hardly we have had any time to even begin, leave alone complete the task at number 1. And December itself, developments have taken place which could adversely affect the security of the RJBPM structure. Road barricades, iron pipe barricading, rolls, barbed wire which were there around the structure, these have been removed. And perhaps the security climate of the structure thereby got adversely affected. This is the observation of everyone. In February 92, the state authorities commenced the construction of a wall enclosing a large area around RJBBM, including the land acquired in October 1991. After the construction of the wall had begun, the central government had requested the state government to indicate the development plans in the vicinity of the Ram Janmabhoomi Babri Masjid structure, particularly on the land acquired in October 1991 and the area falling within the wall under construction, because the acquisition itself was subject to certain public purposes. Reply giving the details of these plans has not been received from the state government till date. In March 1992, the state government leased out approximately 42 acres of land in the vicinity of the RJB complex to the Ram Janmabhoomi Nyas for implementation of the Ram Katha Park project out of the Nyas funds. In March 1992 again, the state authorities undertook demolition of additional structures in the RJBBM complex, such as Sankat Mochan Temple, major portion of Sakshi Gopal Temple, Sumitra Bhavan, Lomas Ashram, Gopal Bhavan, and shops. Along with the demolition, extensive digging and leveling operations were also commenced. I am giving all these details because the atmosphere of security which had come as a result of the Chief Minister's assurances given on the 2nd of November got shaken. What was the intention? We cannot say. But the result has been that that atmosphere has got shaken. These leveling and digging operations have led to apprehensions in the minds of many people and caused concern about their possible effect on the strength and safety of the RJBBM structure. Fear has also been expressed that the collection of water during the rains in the dug-up ground could seep to the foundation of the structure and weaken it. The central government has on many occasions expressed the view that a negotiated solution of the RJB dispute should be found. If, however, such a solution cannot be reached, the government favors a solution by court's verdict. On July 15th, just about 2 days back, the Allahabad High Court has passed an order prohibiting any construction on the land acquired by the UP government last year. Now, the Home Minister has been literally harassed hour after hour in Parliament and outside as to what he is doing. The order being violated, it has not been implemented. Now the latest which the Minister of State for Home Affairs has given the House as the latest information is that the concerned officers, I am putting it in my words, the state government has passed orders to the officials concerned to take steps in compliance of the High Court's order. Now, at this moment, what all I can say is, I await further reports on the actual compliance of the orders. Now, some very interesting information has been passed on to me here after I came here, that the orders were to be sent by fax, but suddenly between Lucknow and Faizabad, the fax machine broke down. So it is possible. I mean, it is possible anything can go out of order. But then, as a follow-up or as a remedial measure to this failure, a special messenger has been dispatched to Faizabad. That is, human machine has now substituted the fax machine. This is the question. Now, the spillover of the last session, sir, I would like to say a few words about the spillover, about which points have been made. I don't consider them very formidable, but then I have to give the information. Sir, on the case itself, Bofor's case, when I had spoken on this matter last in this House, I had stated categorically that investigation would be pursued diligently and without let or hindrance in order to unearth the truth. All steps were taken to persuade the Swiss authorities to pursue the case. The Cantonal Court at Geneva heard the case on the 12th of June 1992. The decision of the court was reserved. After the hearing, the court has recessed on vacation. The decision is therefore expected in August when the vacation ends. Until we get a favorable decision from the court and until we get to know the names of the recipients of the payoffs, it is not possible for the CBI to investigate further at present. This is the position there. The High Court of Delhi also is likely to take up hearing from the 25th, if I am not mistaken, and perhaps it's going to be, I have been told that, subject to correction, that it is going to be continuous and on a daily basis. If it is so, then we could expect the decision of the Delhi High Court also to come as quickly as possible. Sir, about lawyer, I am coming. I have got 3 papers on this. I have read only one out of them. Sir, the news item on Bofor's payoff in the issue dated 10/7/92 of Indian Express has been brought to my notice. The investigations carried out by the CBI so far have not revealed any information which may authenticate the issues raised in the news item. As the CBI is not a party in the proceedings in the cantonal court in Geneva, as per Swiss laws, it has no information about any such account as mentioned in the newspaper having been frozen by the Swiss authorities. The cantonal court of Geneva is likely to pronounce its judgments, as I have just submitted, by next month, and if the documents are made available, further investigation about the probable recipients will be conducted. At present, no comments on the information contained in the news item can be made, but further action would be taken depending on the outcome of the proceedings underway in the Geneva Cantonal Court. Then, sir, about Mr. Solanki. I have already stated that as advised by the CBI, there is no possibility for our CBI to take up any investigation in Geneva about the identity of a person. The investigation of the CBI starts and ends with Mr. Solanki. They went to Mr. Solanki, they asked him, and he said he is in no position to identify the person. This is the position. So,
थर्ड डिग्री में तुरंत उगलेंगे, थर्ड डिग्री में उगलेंगे।
आपसे मशवरा
रिमांड करिए 14 दिन के लिए। Mr. Solanki can identify himself, I think.
well, sir, this is the position.
How did he give the summary of the letter? How did Mr. Solanki give the summary of the letter to the Swiss minister? How could he?
It's a question of the person giving the letter, not the summary.
He had the summary. If he did not know the content of it.
Today itself, even before coming here, I again spoke to Solanki ji. If he is in any position at all, even now, to recollect the complexion or any clues by which, no, on behalf of Parliament, sir. Sir, I impressed on him.
आप क्या कह रहे हैं?
अरे पूरा सुन लीजिए।
प्रधानमंत्री आपको भी महसूस हो रहा होगा कि आप जो कह रहे हैं वो कितना
on behalf of all of you, I pleaded with him if he could recollect anything that would give a clue. He said it is just not possible for him to recollect anything, so there is nothing I can do about it. So that settles it. Sir, now I think I have dealt with all the matters that have figured in the House. If there is anything which needs further to be explained or any answer to be given, I am prepared to give it, but the only thing is that we will not go into inessentials. Other ministers have spoken, and I think the debate has been fairly comprehensive. So I would, what is there about scam? Sir, the finance minister has already given a reply to that. Now it is in the JPC. It's now, क्या? Sir, I am not able to hear Shri at the same time. Sir, I would like to submit that with all dispatch, steps have been taken right from the beginning, right from the moment it came to our notice, government's notice, steps have been taken, culminating in the JPC. Now this is where we are at the moment, and if the JPC is able to go further into the matter,
अपोजिशन से जेपीसी का चेयरमैन बनाएंगे, बताइए। ये आप एग्री कर जाइए, अपोजिशन साइड से बनवाइए।
ऐसी बेअदबी ऐसी बेअदबी मत कीजिए, मुझे मत पूछिए, ये साहब के हाथ में है।
एक सवाल अध्यक्ष जी, प्रधानमंत्री ने कहा कि
ओके, कमान।
प्रधानमंत्री ने सोलंकी के बारे में या जो अकाउंट के बारे में कहा, मैं उस पर अभी कुछ टिप्पणी नहीं करूंगा, क्योंकि फिर वो सवाल जवाब का मामला हो जाएगा, वो अलग बहस का विषय बनेगा और बना रहेगा। लेकिन मैं प्रधानमंत्री जी सीबीआई के पूरी जिम्मेदारी अपने हाथ में रखते हैं। जस्टिस वारियावा ने कल लिखित आदेश दिया है कि सीबीआई जो जांच करवा रही है ये बैंक और स्टॉक्स के स्कैम में, वो असली जो गुनहगार हैं उन लोगों को बचा रही है और स्केप कोर्ट्स को आगे ला रही है। और बहुत सख्त शब्दों का इस्तेमाल उन्होंने लिखित इस मसले को लेकर किया है। प्रधानमंत्री जी ने अभी 30,000 करोड़ रुपए कितनी बड़ी रकम होती है, इस पर काफी विश्लेषण किया। केवल ब्याज से प्रधानमंत्री जी, केवल बैंक के इस स्कैम में केवल ब्याज की जो लूट हुई है वो लगभग 40,000 करोड़ रुपए है पिछले 12-14 महीनों में। आप 30,000 करोड़ रुपए की बात कर रहे हो। तो मैं अध्यक्ष जी जानना चाहता हूं कि जब अदालत का जो स्पेशल कोर्ट आपने बिठाया है उसका जज और अकेला जब वो ये बात को कहता है, प्रधानमंत्री जी क्या आप सीबीआई को और संबंधित तमाम लोगों को यह आदेश तत्काल देंगे कि जज ने ये जो सवाल छेड़ा है इसका स्पष्ट जवाब उनके पास जाएगा?
तत्काल दूंगा, तत्काल दूंगा। माननीय सदस्य ने जो कहा है उसका मैं पूरी तरह से नोट लेता हूं और उस पर जो भी तत्काल उनको आदेश या उनसे कहना होगा जरूर कहा जाए।